Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this episode of Inspirational Muslims, I will be interviewing Muddassar Ahmed. Muddassar is a managing partner at Unitas Communications Ltd, a British strategic communication consultancy where he's led on projects for the United Nations, Amnesty International, the NFL, the Arab League, the US Department and OIC, and many other governments, civil society and business organizations. He also founded and is the president of the Concordia Forum, an annual retreat for senior Western Muslim leaders. In addition, he is president of the John Adams Society. Muddassar also recently joined the Office of Transatlantic Leadership Initiatives at the German Marshall Fund as non-resident fellow with a focus on advancing inclusive leadership in Europe and North America. He has also served a term as an independent advisor on communities to the UK government. He regularly writes and commentates for a variety of international media outlets including London's Evening Standard, CNN, The Hill, BBC, The Telegraph, Arab News and Heartes. He has also been named as one of the 500 most influential Muslims in the world for 3 years in a row and listed as amongst the 1,000 most influential Londoners by the Evening Standard in 2018.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Muddassar. Jazakallah khair so much for taking the time from your busy schedule to speak with us today. Muddassar, I've known you for several years and you are considered your friend and an inspiration, and you're an inspiration to many Muslims and even the wider community out there, mashallah. You wear many hats, but I would like to ask you, from your own perspective, how would you describe yourself and what would you say are your main focuses on at the moment?
Well, thank you very much. It's an honour and a pleasure to be speaking to you, and thank you very much for inviting me and for your very kind words.
It's my pleasure.
Just a brief introduction to myself, I suppose. I've always been an entrepreneur, so either business or social. I've set up several businesses and also set up several social enterprises. Alhamdulillah, some of these have been successful and have had a reasonable impact. I would describe myself simply as an entrepreneur.
Mashallah, mashallah. I think you've been very modest. I think you, one of the ones that, of course, I know and many people know about is the Concordia Forum and Unitas and so many different boards that you're serving on at the moment. You must have had so many different challenges to date. In the various roles that you play, mashallah, such an active role in the community. What would you say to you personally has been your greatest challenge and how did you overcome this?
I don't know if I've had one overwhelming challenge. I think I've had several challenges along the way, as we all do. But I suppose when I was setting up my business is in the services sector. My phone's going off.
That's okay.
I forgot to put that on. I think I've had several challenges. I mean, a very big challenge that I had was that when I set up my business, I was quite young, and my business is about reputation management and strategic communications.
Sure.
And often people go into this business when they're at the height of their career in another career. So they're politicians or they're civil servants or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they retire and they set up this business. And I did it the other way around. So initially it was very challenging getting people to trust a very young man with their reputation, with their advice on strategic communications, with advice on crisis communications. So it was a very tricky thing to do, and I was young and ambitious and naive, and alhamdulillah, I got very lucky. We got a contract with the UN very quickly. We started working for the Arab League. Now we work with the OIC, and we represent a number of high net worth individuals, countries and corporate. So it was a big challenge, but we did it, alhamdulillah. And I suppose the way we did it was just by working extra hard, by reassuring people, by showing what we are capable of, without initially going in and charging people huge amounts of money, and just also being persistent. It was so easy to give up. It's so easy to just be like, what am I trying to do? Why am I trying to set up a business in which I've never worked in, an area in which there is no other Muslim-owned, Muslim CEO of a public affairs company in the UK. It was a bit tough, But yeah, we overcame that challenge.
That's amazing, mashallah. And the Muslim community especially needs this more now than ever before. And I still think there's such a huge gap that you filled, mashallah.
Well, this is the reason I set up the business. I actually set up the business because I wanted to provide professional communications advice to Muslim organizations. Now, of course, after I set up the business, I very quickly realized that Muslim organizations don't want to pay for this. So I had to go elsewhere for clients. But the initial impetus was to set up a company that specialized in this area of Muslim world intercultural communications. It's become a lot broader than that now, but yeah, you're right. We do need to understand how we are communicating, how we're bringing sophistication into our communication, how to be more nuanced, how to be more strategic, how to respond in times of crisis. And honestly, there's never been a worse time to be a Muslim, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Last night we heard the news about the attack in Germany. Rhetoric, Islam, it seems like it's got worse over the past 10, 15 years. So whatever we're doing isn't really working. We do need to look at the way we communicate.
Absolutely, mashallah. And may Allah bless you for all the great work that you are doing and your organization for the betterment of the community, mashallah. Well, so all these challenges you're having, you're overcoming, mashallah, they're always going to be there. And what would you feel, aside from the challenges that you've had to deal with and mashallah you're overcoming, what would you feel has been close to your heart, the greatest achievement to date? I guess let's start from a business perspective first, because you've hit quite a few milestones.
Yeah,
mashallah.
I think from a business perspective, we're probably the only business in the UK that has worked for the three largest intergovernmental organizations in the world.
Mashallah.
So the OIC, the UN, the OIC,
Amazing.
And the Arab League. So that's quite an accomplishment. We also worked on a number of political campaigns. My work is very exciting. We work on a number of geopolitical issues. We work with a number of different countries. I've done a lot of work around refugees. I've done a lot of work around human rights.
Mashallah.
I've done a lot of work around showcasing Muslim talent, either as clients or pro bono. So I'm trying to figure out what's the one thing
that's close to your heart, too close to Muddassar's heart.
Do you know, it's really funny. One of the things I keep going, in my previous life I was a documentary maker, and I helped with a documentary that I'm very proud of called The Seven Wonders of the Islamic World, that was shown on Channel 4.
Beautiful, mashallah.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of that. So much of my work I do here I can't talk about, but I'm very proud of the work we've done with the OIC. I'm very proud of some of the work we've done with Rohingya. I'm proud of some of the work we've done raising the profile of the Rohingya, working with several of the actors that were involved in the recent Gambian decision. We're very proud of some of the work we did in Syria. Refugee issues. Alhamdulillah, there's a lot to be proud of, and it's a shame because we can't talk about a lot of it, so it's a lot of it's kind of client related, but we do a lot of cutting edge work.
That's amazing, and there's I know the list will go on forever because you're so active, mashallah, Allah Mubarak. One of the things that where I got to meet you as well was the Concordia Forum, which I think that's such a huge achievement as well, to bring such a talent pool of Muslims together from all over the world. Muddassar, throughout your life you must have had, we all do have such different role models that come in different stages of our lives that shape and influence and empower us, at different stages. What would you say has been your most prevalent role model to date?
So many, I think at different stages of my life I had different people inspire me, and starting from school, having an inspirational teacher, also having people that, teachers at college that didn't believe in me, that maybe challenged them. I think that, I've just been very lucky that I have at various points in my life met lots of different people that have believed in me, and that have inspired me. I mean, what I've done with Unitas and Concordia is unconventional. It's not like there's no one role model in the communications industry or in the community that I thought they inspired me to do Concordia, they inspired me to do Unitas. There wasn't a model, but both of these things are in areas that weren't done before, but various people inspired in different ways. So the team that I have around me in Concordia, my board, my trustees, my board members are very inspiring. My business partner who founded Unitas Communications with me, Shiraz, has been a rock solid inspiration. So I've been very lucky to have people smarter than me around me, guiding me, helping me, and believing in me. And that's been the key.
Mubarak. And throughout the journey, Muddassar, what role do you feel faith has played, in your life when you've had struggles? How do you feel? What kind of role has faith played in your life for all the successes that you, mashallah, have achieved?
Faith is always there in the background, in no matter what I do, and a big part of setting something up, and particularly when it comes to raising finance and putting in the hard work, is impossible to do. Well, it's not impossible, but it's difficult to do unless you have a broader vision in mind. And I think my community's dynamics in Europe and the Western world have been a source of motivation. I'm not sure inspiration, but motivation. And my belief in a pluralist, all-encompassing, peaceful Muslim society in the West, and the fact that I believe this is mandated, this is actually my faith, this is my true faith, to be tolerant and to be, and the desire for others to know that this is what my faith stands for has been a huge motivation.
Amazing.
Absolutely huge motivation.
Amazing. Segueing into that, actually, so how, at the moment, mindfulness, anxiety, depression is on the tip of everyone's tongue. It's a subject that everyone's talking about, and corporate organizations are putting it as one of their main priorities to deal with. What is Muddassar's way of dealing with stress?
Well, I in my work is a very high stress environment, and I've been exploring this question myself. I don't think I have the answer. I don't think I'm necessarily good at it. But one thing I do realize is that at the heart of everything around mindfulness and wellness is a spiritual framework. So it's interesting how I've been on a bunch of these retreats lately, yoga retreats, mindfulness retreats, different retreats. And every single retreat I went to, and some costing a lot of money and some others not costing, always had, when you got there, you realize they always had a spiritual framework. Now, they weren't necessarily forcing it upon you, but they would say, we are rooted in Christian spiritual tradition, we are rooted in Ayurvedic Hindu tradition, we are rooted in Buddhist yoga tradition, we are rooted in New Age, whatever. So there's always something, a system or something, right? Yeah. And I realized, whilst I got a lot from these retreats, I realized, actually, I might have as we all do, I might have a up and down relationship with my, what's the word?
Iman,
right? We all do, right?
Yeah.
But my spiritual framework is definitely Islamic, right? It's Muslim, right? So where is my retreat? Where is the place where I go for that? And then you start thinking about that, and actually I set one up. So I set up this thing called the Saakoon retreat, which is actually taking place in 2 months' time in a beautiful place in Devon, where we infuse mindfulness, yoga, Tai Chi, but in an Islamic framework, but light touch, where we do mindful prayer, and focus in on our inner spirituality. But also, honestly, my understanding of the rituals of my religion, when I indulge in them, is that prayer is about mindfulness, really, 100%. If you think about it. Absolutely. Fasting is a huge trend these days, but it's about actually getting close to your physiology and understanding. So actually, if you were to follow Hajj is about going on a journey, so I think if you understand these concepts and follow them as they're meant to be, they're more for you than they are for God. God doesn't need any of them.
Absolutely.
God is all powerful. They're more designed for you to lead a more meaningful, deep life, but also for you to relax and actually take time out and contemplate. The Quran always tells you to contemplate, read, understand. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that my way of relaxing is trying to take out more time to do that stuff.
Beautifully said, mashallah. If you could go back to your former 18-year-old self, what would you advise him?
That's a difficult one. I don't. There are certain things that I did when I was, 18, 19, 20 that I regret. regret. But they all made me who I am today. So I don't know if I'd have much in the way. I mean, I guess I'd take time out to exercise. That's one thing I would tell my 18-year-old self. You know, I don't put too many products in your hair because you have none left.
I'll say the same thing to my
I'd say, what else would I say? Pass your driving test earlier than you did. Focus on that. But, I dropped out of university. I went traveling. There are so many things that I did that maybe others wouldn't recommend other people doing, but I don't regret them. There are certain pieces of advice I would give myself, but they would generally be, not something that would have drastically changed the direction of my life.
MashaAllah. So Muddassar, I'm sure the audience, inshallah, will be wanting to get in touch with you. What is your preferred method of communication for the wider audience to get in touch with you for various different things?
I mean, Twitter.
Yep.
My handle is at Muddassar Ahmed. So Muddassar Ahmed.
Yep.
And I'm sure you'll put it in the
absolutely.
thing down.
Perfect. Jazakallah khair so much, Muddassar, for making the time today. It's been an absolute pleasure as always to speak with you.
Thank you. It's been my honor, really. And thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the interview. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you're alerted as we upload more inspirational Muslim videos.